please close the doors and well, good morning. Does it feel like Friday? That's because it's about to be. We will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 75th House District, Representative Mike Glanton. Representative Glanton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, good morning. Before I introduce the chaplain of the day, I would like to recognize his lovely wife and First Lady, Kelly Hall. Would you please stand for us this morning so we can welcome you to the House? And also, ladies and gentlemen, they have quite a few members from their congregation that are with us here today in the gallery, so welcome to you as well. You have his bio on your desk, so I won't go through reading his whole bio, but I would share something with you this morning. Pastor Luke Hall and I came through the ministry ranks together at a mega church on the south side. And he replaced me in what we call the third phase of new members orientation, which was mandatory. As I transitioned to the counseling ministry, as well as to facilitate the adult ministry in that ministry as well. And so I'm certainly glad and honored to have him with us this morning. Dr. Luke Stephen Hall is founder and senior pastor of New Vision Christian Church in Forest Park, Georgia, with a mission to equip, to inspire, and to empower the people of God for the kingdom living. He is also bivocational. He is the Deputy Special Agent in charge of the Capital Metro Area of the United States Postal Service, Office of the Inspector General. And so he provides executive oversight to investigative and administrative activities of 51 special agents over 5 states and the District of Columbia. And also he is a former military. He spent 7.5 years in the United States Army, and he was a warrant officer, so for our military colleagues. He received his doctorate of minister degree from South Florida Theological Seminary. Dr. Hall is also a graduate of the Harvard Divinity School, Summer Leadership Institute. And so with that, I present to you Pastor Dr. Luke Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Representative Glanton, ladies and gentlemen of the House. This morning I consider it a great honor to stand before you as a proud citizen of the great state of Georgia, as a veteran of the U.S. Army in the Gulf War, and as a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm certain that we all would agree that one of the greatest discoveries in life is the discovery of purpose, our raison d'etre, our reason for being. The late Dr. Miles Monroe once said, "Purpose is always hidden in the mind of the manufacturer." And I believe that it is God's divine purpose that we're all here today. I believe that our purpose for convening in this sacred assembly was crystallized on July 28, 1787, during the Constitutional Convention, when our forefathers were deadlocked while trying to reach an agreement to create laws that would govern, direct, and unite a young United States of America. It was Benjamin Franklin who appealed to the noble body to humbly apply to the Father of lights to illuminate their understanding. He reminded them that during the contest with Great Britain, when they were sensible of danger, they had daily prayer for divine protection, and their prayers were heard and were graciously answered. And he asked the question, have we now forgotten that powerful friend? Or do we imagine that we no longer need his assistance? He said, the longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth, that God governs in the affairs of man, And if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? Benjamin Franklin quoted the sacred writings that said, "Except the Lord build a house, they labor in vain that build it." He then demanded that henceforth prayers imploring the assistance of heaven and its blessings on our deliberations be held in the assembly every morning before proceeding to business. It is with that desire of Benjamin Franklin and those that have gone before us that I ask that you would please stand this morning and join me in prayer. Lord, thank you for this opportunity to join together in corporate prayer. We thank you for these great men and women that you've called and that the people have elected to be their voice. Lord, please give them the guidance that they need to address the issues that are before them. And we take comfort in the fact that they dare not begin anything without acknowledging you as their guide and the head of all they do. Strengthen them to use the power, authority, and influence that they've been given to govern and guide your people. Help them to embrace their responsibility and not shun from it. Keep their bodies strong, their minds sharp, their families safe, and their hearts open to hear from you. Father, we ask that through the power of your Holy Spirit, you constantly remind us all that although we're in authority, you're always in control. These things we ask in your matchless name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Chair recognizes Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journal of the previous legislative day and found it to be correct.
Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. Burns, on the 59th, moves the following be established as the order of business during the first part of the period. Unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions. First reading and reference of House bills and resolutions. Second reading of bills and resolutions. Reports of standing committees. First reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions. Morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 884 by Representative Houston to the 170th, Watson the 172nd, Perkins the 155th. Bill be titled an act to authorize the governing authority of the city of Tifton to levy an excise tax.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 885 by Representative Petrie the 166th, Fleming the 121st, Cantrell the 22nd, Collins the 68th, Powell the 32nd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 42-536 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to confidentiality information.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 886 by Representative Welch of the 110th, McCall the 33rd, Knight of the 130th. Bill being titled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 11 and Title 4 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions regarding animal protection.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
House Bill 887 by Representative Stevens of the 164th. Bill being titled an act to amend Title 3 of the official code of Georgia Annotated relating to alcoholic beverages.
Regulated Industries.
House Bill 888 by Representative Hawkins, the 27th, Lott of the 122nd, Rogers, the 10th, Lumsden of the 12th, Smyrie, the 135th, and others. Bill be titled Act to amend Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to insurance.
Special Committee on Access to Quality Health Care.
House Bill 889 by Representative Morris, the 156th. A bill be titled Act to create the Toombs County Public Facilities Authority.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 890 by Representative Watson, the 172nd, Laricki of the 169th, Perkel, the 155th, and Corbett of the 174th. Bill be titled Act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to driver's licenses.
Motor Vehicles.
House Bill 891 by Representative Gamble of the 15th, Hogan of the 179th, Hatchett of the 150th, Dollar of the 45th, Silcox the 52nd, and others. Bill be titled Act to amend Chapter 8 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to sales and use taxes.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 892 by Representative Moore of the 95th, Irwin of the 28th, Belton of the 112th, Dickerson of the 113th, Galanton of the 75th, and others. Bill be titled Act to amend Code Section 22.751.4 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to policies prohibiting bullying.
Education.
House Bill 893 by Representative Gamble of the 15th, Taylor of the 173rd, Hawkins of the 27th, Williamson of the 115th, and Lumsden of the 12th. Bill be titled Act to amend Code Section 33.1.17 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Special Insurance Fraud Fund.
Insurance.
House Resolution 1060 by Representative Cantrell of the 22nd, Harrell of the 106th, Abstration of the 104th, Green of the 151st, Chokas of the 138th, and others. A resolution creating the House Study Committee on Business and Legal Immigration.
Special Rules.
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Meeks of the 178th, Cord of the 33rd, Corbett of the 174th, House of the 170th, and others. Entitled an Act to amend Code Section 243, the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Seed Development Commission composition.
Agriculture and Consumer Affairs.
Senate Bill 159 by Senator Gooch of the 51st, Beach of the 21st, Ginn of the 47th, Butler of the 55th, Jones of the 25th. A bill being titled an Act to amend Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to motor vehicles and traffic.
Transportation.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 871 by Representative Holmes of the 129th, the bill to create the Jasper County Public Facilities Authority. House Bill 872 by Representative Bernal of the 77th, Glanton of the 75th, Scott of the 76th, Stovall of the 74th, Schofield of the 60th, a bill to authorize the Magistrate Court of Clayton County to impose and collect county law library fees. House Bill 873 by Representative Holmes of the 129th, the Welch of the 110th, the bill to amend an act to create the Joint County Municipal Board of Elections and Registration for Butts County. House Bill 874 by Representative Holmes of the 129th and Welch of the 110th, the bill to authorize the governing authority of Butts County to levy an excise tax. House Bill 875 by Representative Nix of the 69th, Collins of the 68th, Cook of the 18th, a bill to amend an act to create the Carroll County Water Authority. House Bill 876 by Representative Rhodes of the 120th, the bill to amend an act to create the Greene County Airport Authority. House Bill 877 by Representative Hogan of the 179th, Jones of the 167th, Mathis of the 144th, and Dollar of the 45th, a bill relating to motor vehicles and traffic. House Bill 878 by Representative Fry of the 118th, Hutchinson of the 107th, McLaren of the 51st, Kendrick of the 93rd, Alexander of the 66th, and others, a bill relating to crimes and offenses, law enforcement, and local government. House Bill 879 by Representative Harrell of the 106th, Carpenter of the 4th, Powell of the 32nd, Stevens of the 164th, Fry of the 118th, and others, a bill relating to provisions regarding the regulation of alcoholic beverages. House Bill 880 by Representative Glanton of the 75th, Bodie of the 62nd, Trammell of the 132nd, Beverly of the 143rd, and Hughley of the 136th, a bill relating to elementary and secondary education. House Bill 881 by Representative Cooper of the 43rd, Silcox of the 52nd, Rich of the 97th, Jackson of the 128th, Rutledge of the 109th, a bill relating to domestic relations. House Bill 882 by Representative Houston of the 170th, Rich of the 97th, Corbett of the 174th, Green of the 151st, Chokas of the 138th, a bill relating to general provisions regarding the state sales and use tax. House Bill 883 by Representative Gilliard of the 162nd, Hitchens of the 161st, Prince of the 127th, a bill relating to social services. House Resolution 1036 by Representative Beasley Teague of the 65th, Bodie of the 62nd, Glanton of the 75th, Schofield of the 60th, resolution compensating Robert Charles Dukes. House Resolution 1037 by Representative Abstration of the 104th, Parson of the 44th, Jones of the 47th, McLaren of the 51st, Carson of the 46th, and others. A resolution proposing amendment to the Constitution of the State of Georgia so as to provide the General Assembly with the power to regulate and fix charges owned or operated by a municipality of the state for services rendered outside of the municipality but inside the county in which the municipality is located. House Resolution 1038 by Representative Gordon of the 163rd, Gilliard of the 162nd, Stevens of the 164th, Williams of the 168th, Petrie of the 166th, and others. Resolution compensating Kenneth Eric Gardner. House Resolution 1039 by Representative Gordon of the 163rd, Gilliard of the 162nd, Stevens of the 164th, Williams of the 168th, Petrie of the 166th, and others. Resolution compensating Dominic Brian Lucci. House Resolution 1040 by Representative Williams of the 168th, Beverly of the 143rd, Trammell of the 32nd, Bennett of the 94th, Hughley of the 136th, and others. Resolution apologizing for slavery and Jim Crow and reaffirming the state's commitment to freedom. House Resolution 1041 by Representative Gordon of the 163rd, Gilliard of the 162nd, Stevens of the 164th, Williams of the 168th, and Petrie of the 166th, and others. Resolution compensating Mark Jason Jones. Senate Bill 296 by Senator Heath of the 31st, a bill relating to funeral directors and establishments, embalmers, and crematories. 3 second readers.
Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Benton of the 31st District, Chairman of the Committee Retirement, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Retirement has added a consideration the following bills of the House. It instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 336 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 659 do pass. House Bill 664 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 821 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Benton of the 31st District, Chairman. Representative Barry Fleming of the 121st District, Chairman of the Committee on Judiciary, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Judiciary has had in consideration the following bills and resolutions of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 786 do pass by committee substitute. House Resolution 1023 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Barry Fleming of the 121st District, Chairman. Representative Powell of the 32nd District, Chairman of the Committee on Regulated Industries, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Regulated Industries had under consideration the following bill of the House. Instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 523 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Powell of the 32nd District, Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
All right, the House will come to order. The House will come to order. We're going on to morning orders. Going on to morning orders, and if each member takes 1 minute that is signed up for a morning order, we will not be finished today. So we'll carry those forward. The chair will allow 1 minute, and hopefully we'll have those who will take less. Chair recognizes the chair of the Natural Resources and Environment Committee, Chairman Lynn Smith, for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm joined by the Coweta County delegation here. This is a proud day, and there are members of this House who want to join us as well. And so I'm going to be talking about a gentleman named Carl Ware. And in the interest of time, I have a resolution on your desk so you can read more detail. But it's an honor for us to recognize Carl Ware. His book, Portrait of an American Businessman, One Generation from Cotton Field to Boardroom, is a phenomenal story, and I know he's a leader for several people in this room. So we're honored to have you here today, Carl. But I'll briefly introduce you to everyone. The Coweta County delegation joins me in recognizing my constituent, a great Georgian, Carl Ware, this morning. One of 12 children, he was born in Noonan, Georgia in 1943 to sharecroppers. He attended Clark College in Atlanta and graduated in 1965. He later earned his Master's of Public Administration from the University of Pittsburgh in 1968. After graduating, Ware began his career as Director of Housing for Urban League of Pittsburgh. He later moved to Atlanta to continue his career, and he won a seat on the Atlanta City Council, where he served as president from 1976 to 1979. He later was named Vice President of Special Markets for Coca-Cola. His career with Coca-Cola is phenomenal, but in short, I'm running out of time, so that's why I put the resolution on your desk. But will y'all please join me in honoring and welcoming Carl Ware to our General Assembly. Carl, if you'll stand up. Woo. Thank you very much. And he will be joining us in the ante room if anybody wants to have a special meeting with him. And Mr. Speaker, I have his book for you.
You weren't reading from that, were you? Chair recognizes Representative Gamble for a morning order.
Well, thank you, members of the House, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to celebrate National School Counseling Week, February the 3rd through the 7th. And we are honored today to have over 100 counselors from around the state who have joined us to celebrate National School Counseling Week. We're also privileged to have Ms. Laura Ross, the 2020 School Counselor of the Year from Gwinnett County, with us. And at this time, I would like for the school counselors that are present in the gallery to stand so that we can recognize them. Would you stand at this time? Thank you for all you do.
Chair recognizes Representative Walensky for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This week is a call to action for screening for yourself, for your friends and families. Here today are Randy and Caroline Gold, who had the initial idea for J-Screen after their child was affected. Also here is Karen Arnovitz Grinzad, the Executive Director, Rachel Gates, Program Coordinator. And they are all here today. Can they stand, please? Now, J-Screen is a nonprofit public health initiative dedicated to preventing Jewish genetic diseases, and I'm honored to introduce the inaugural Jewish Genetic Screening Awareness Week. It's headquartered out of Emory University School of Medicine. The J-Screen initiative provides convenient at-home access to genetic testing, patient education, genetic counseling services. Together with its partners, Jewish Genetic Screening Awareness Week is raising awareness about the importance of screening for Jewish genetic diseases. Everyone is a carrier of genetic diseases, so I want to give them a loud round of applause and thank you so much for everything they do. What's your name? Felicia Mayer. And I left out Felicia Mayer is also up there. Thank you for all you do, the Executive Director. Thank you. Is that right?
Chair recognizes Representative Beasley Teague for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Today I come to you with a little problem. The educators started calling me early yesterday morning on my cell phone. I guess somebody made it public. But this is what I know for me, that I cannot take a screwdriver and screw a screw backwards. I built airplanes. It'll destroy it. So at this point in time, I can't do anything with taking anything from the educators in their retirement. Thank you.
Representative, I did not give out your cell phone number, I promise. Chair recognizes Representative Noel Williams for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I would like to recognize my group from Cordell and Crisp County. They came all the way up here today to fry catfish for everyone at 5 o'clock at the depot. So please, please make every effort you can to attend and thank my group for being here today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman Jaspers, does that bear up there belong to you? I'm going to recognize you for the next morning order. He's staring at me.
Well, you're used to looking at bears, Mr. Speaker, I do believe. But thank you for recognizing me. And we're here to recognize Pre-K Week. And if you'll turn around, you see the Amy Jacobs or Commissioner Erica Stiffkoff with Voices for Children and the bear, because we're recognizing pre-K work. What started out with 750 pre-K kids in '92, now it's 80,000 4-year-olds are served in our state. We're one of 9 states that has over half of the children available to be served. We're tickled. You know, one real neat thing, if you look on your desk and rip that box open, you've got Where the Wild Things Are. And in October, you're going to be, the Voices for Folks will be after you to read. It's very proud to say that 4 out of 5 of you guys go to a pre-K, get a picture, read to some kids. It's a great thing. But take this book home or read whatever you want to and have the opportunity to read. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Bentley for a morning order.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Happy Thursday, colleagues. I stand before you this morning to acknowledge the moment in Black history as I am honoring the Fort Valley State University. We will have Fort Valley State University Day here at the state capitol on February 25th, and we ask that everyone please wear your blue and gold as we celebrate the Fort Valley State University. Thank you, colleagues, and thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I'm glad she's on my team. Chair recognizes Representative Bonner for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my pleasure this morning to welcome to the People's House a good friend and brother and great Georgian, Mr. Lee Haney. Lee is an 8-time Mr. Olympia bodybuilding champion, broke the record established by Arnold Schwarzenegger. But I'll tell you, Lee would readily admit that that's not his greatest accomplishment in life. On your desk is some information regarding Haney's Harvest House. It's a nonprofit organization that Lee and his wife Shirley created back in 1992 to mentor at-risk youth. So if you would help me to welcome my friend and brother, Lee Haney, to the People's House. And Lee will be down in the ante room for anybody who wants to grab a picture. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Gravely for a morning order.
Well, good morning, colleagues, and thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today is Multiple Sclerosis Day at the Georgia State Capitol. Multiple sclerosis, also known as MS, is a neurological disease of the central nervous system that is debilitating to all who suffer from it. But with advocacy and persistence, we are pushing forward to get individuals with MS access to treatment. Stopping MS in its tracks and restoring what this terrible disease has taken from so many Georgians is the mission of the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. They have invested more than $1 billion in research and funded projects focused on the benefits of exercise and cognitive rehabilitation that lead to breakthroughs in treatment. Last year, the National MS Society urged this body to increase access to low THC medical cannabis oil so that people living with MS in Georgia would have more treatment options for symptom management when recommended by their healthcare provider. Ladies and gentlemen, please recognize MS Society today. Thank you for your support, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Kelly, the Majority Caucus Whip, for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I come here today to recognize the birthday of a great Georgian, Hammerin' Hank Aaron. As we all know, Hammerin' Hank was a longtime Braves player in Atlanta from 1966 to 1974. But before that, he was with the Milwaukee Braves, where he won a World Series in 1957. Hank Aaron, we know, continues to hold the record for most career runs batted in, most career bases, and most extra base hits. And while there's others that may have more home runs in the record book, we know that he'll always be our home run king, and we'll always remember that famous trip he took around the bases after he hit the home run over the left field wall of Fulton County Stadium. Will y'all help me join in wishing Hank Aaron a happy birthday today?
Chair recognizes Representative Marin for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning. Buenos dias. What a missed opportunity from last night's speech to highlight the many contributions that our immigrant community gives every day to this country. We're lawyers, we're engineers, we're doctors, we're blue collars, we're white collars. We serve in the armed forces. We are your neighbors. We are your colleagues. We're elected officials. And still, what I heard last night was that immigrants are thieves, murderers, drug traffickers, human traffickers, the worst. Georgia, we're better than that. Thank you.
And I promise never to treat a governor's speech the way that speech was treated at the end last night. Regardless of party. Chair recognizes Representative Kendrick for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. If you attended the Facebook training yesterday or didn't attend and you would like the contact information to help with your Facebook training, you can see me at my desk and I can forward you all the email information, and it has some good tips for you. But thank you for everybody that attended. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Lopez Romero for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to follow up in the conversation about last night's speech, and I expect the same rounding applause after I finish speaking. I was also undocumented for 12 years of my life until I was 17 years old. Needless to say, I am not a rapist, I am not a murderer, and I am not a trafficker. But I do love our state, which is one of the reasons I hold so highly being an elected official and being your colleague and sitting with you and having these conversations. Even when we disagree, we can come back the next day and talk as we've talked about what we're doing in our personal lives or complain about the coffee. Because ultimately we are all Georgians. And even though I was disappointed by last night's speech, I am encouraged by many individuals that have now come to call colleagues, that we have had conversations, because I know that this chamber, I'm not sure about what the other chamber may do, but I know that this chamber can do and will do better. I have seen half the chamber come and stand when we've done proclamations and resolutions for Immigrant and Refugee Day, and I expect each and every one of those individuals that stood here and has signed on to those resolutions to also sign on to positive legislation that benefits all Georgians, including our immigrant communities, including our communities that are undocumented, because they too are Georgians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Chairman Randy Nix for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to recognize today as the Georgia Automatic Merchandising Council Day at the Capitol. Now, you probably know these people as vendors. They're the people that way before Grubhub and Uber Eats came along, they were out there providing meals for our hardworking men and women in Georgia in the workplace. They get the snacks to them, the lunches to them, and also now they have got a program called Fit Pick where they actually get the more nutritional foods to them. So help me recognize the Georgia Automatic Merchandising Council folks. If you'll please stand. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Good job.
Chair recognizes Representative Holly for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today realizing that as a state, so many of our local folks who are back home expecting for us to do our work here are relying on us to be able to marry the priorities which hold true to their own families to the needs of this state, and to ensure that our focus does not shift to Washington, but we allow for Georgians here to make good decisions about Georgia's families throughout the state. Hopefully, I'm hoping that by the firm support of local control, of home rule, of communities coming together, that we don't allow for divisiveness at the national spectrum to be able to infect what we do here locally. We have teachers, we have preachers, we've got police officers, we've got business folks back home, Republican and Democrat. And we know that as much as we're able to pass 90% of the legislation out of this House bipartisan, that we can look to each other and ensure that we can find not only just a common cause or a ceremonial gesture, but let's make people's priorities real by ensuring that every measure of success that comes out of this House is not attributed to one political party or another, but let it be by the sheer grace of God himself. I yield the will. Thank you, sir.
Chair recognizes the Majority Leader of the House for a morning order. Gentlemen will be reminded you have 45 seconds and we will then end morning orders.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Tomorrow, February the 6th, will be an important day in the history of our country. It is the birthday of one of our greatest presidents, Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States. President Reagan won the Cold War, set our economy on a pace that has been unmatched. He strengthened our military, made us proud again. He strengthened capitalism in this country, and he defeated communism in this country and around the world. Hats off, much gratitude. Thank God for the life and service of President Ronald Reagan.
Under the rules of the House, the time for morning orders has expired today, and so those we didn't get to, and there were multiple, we'll have to come back to you next time we're here. Chair recognizes Chairman Newton to introduce the Doctor of the Day.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I'm excited that today we're celebrating Public Health Day here at the Capitol, and I'm honored to have our Commissioner of the Department of Public Health with me, Dr. Kathleen Toomey, but it's not her by herself. it doesn't take a coronavirus or a SARS outbreak to learn to appreciate public health. It takes a team. So serving in shifts today as Doctor of the Day. We have public health district directors who've traveled from all over our state, as large as it is, the largest east of the Mississippi River. So in addition to Dr. Toomey here with me, the men and women on the front line of the public health are Drs. Vocio, Taylor, Logan, if I can ask y'all to stand if you're in there, Arona, Ford, Obasanjo, Kraft, Haynes, Drs. Goggins, Townsend, Grow, Ruiz, Davis, and Dr. Parks. Thank you for your service to the state, and I'd love to let us hear from, if we can say thank you for you to be here. Thank you. Dr. Toomey, thank you for being here.
I promised I would speak very quickly about public health, which is hard for me, but it's a real thrill to be here today on this historic day, the first public health day ever at the Capitol. As Commissioner of Public Health and a former health director myself, no one is more appreciative of the work that goes on at the district and county levels than I am. And I'm proud to be here today with the health directors, for they are truly the doctors of the day every day in our communities. Whether it's working to improve the health of mothers and babies across Georgia, or ensuring that the state is responding to a potential threat of coronavirus as we've been doing the last several days, public health works best when we work together as a team. And what you see here by having us together and working together reflects that approach to a public health system. On this historic day, we all look forward to the opportunity to meet with you individually. And I think we collectively want to thank you all for the support you've given public health over the many years. And I personally want to thank you, as well as the health directors, for your leadership and support for this great state of ours. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. It's great to be here.
Chair wants to recognize on the floor of the House a former member of the United States House of Representatives, former Congressman Bob Barr. Congressman Barr. House will continue to be in order. We are going to recognize some very distinguished guests with us today. Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 952.
House Resolution 952 by Representative Irwin of the 28th, a resolution congratulating, commending Banks County High School's Lady Leopards for securing the Class 2A state title and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes Representative Irwin for an invite resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and House. Very proud today to recognize the state championship softball girls team from Banks County. One thing I'll tell you that they have recharged my district, my community. These young ladies, with their challenge of themselves, the challenge of the support of the community, and the leadership they have provided. So I am very excited to say that the first female state championship to come from Banks County High School came from these group of ladies standing up, or please stand up ladies in the back, and Coach Cronick and these two ladies right here. I want to allow, before we recognize them, the pitcher that not only recorded over 1,000 strikeouts, over 400 of which occurred this year, but also 12 no-hitters. So we are very proud, and a future college star starting next year, Tybee Denton. Tybee, please say a word or two.
On behalf of the team,
the coaches, and the community, we just wanted to thank the Speaker, Chris Irwin, and the House for allowing us to be here.
Sure did. Thank you, Tabby.
Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 1030.
House Resolution 1030 by Representatives Fry of the 118th Burns 159, Trammell of the 132nd Parish 158th, Schofield of the 60th, and others. A resolution recognizing and commending Habitat for Humanity and for other purposes.
Chair recognizes for an invite resolution Representative Spencer Fry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, I wanted to thank you for paying attention to this next announcement. Y'all know I'm the director of Habitat for Humanity in Athens, and you know, this organization does a lot of amazing work, and I really appreciate the opportunity that y'all have provided us to do the work in your state. I've left you a pencil. If anybody's curious about what this is, it's a pencil. It's a carpenter's pencil, and you need a knife to sharpen it. And so you can use that when you're working on your job site. There's a bunch of people in the gallery. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to recognize them or not, but they're going to come asking you to come to the dedications and the construction that's going to go on Saturdays. Here with me, I've got Natasha Reed Rice, who's the Associate General Counsel of Habitat International. And y'all know that we're the 15th largest builder in the United States. The 15th largest. That's when the economy's going good. We like to stay around 15. Got Charles Smith from Athens, Margarita Patterson, who's a Habitat homeowner and a 9/11 survivor, Ryan Willoughby, oh, he's not here, and Brent Bohannon from Gwinnett. But look, I appreciate y'all listening to what's going on and supporting Habitat, and we've got a couple words from Natasha.
Good morning. Thank you, Speaker Ralston. Thank you, Rep. Fryer. It's great to be here with Habitat Georgia, representing and supporting 55 Habitat affiliates throughout our great state. Habitat, as many of you know, has enjoyed a great relationship with Georgia. We started in Americus, Georgia over 40 years ago. We are now headquartered in Americus and Atlanta. And one of our most favorite volunteers is a well-known Georgian and former president, President Jimmy Carter. In Georgia, we know that home ownership and stable housing leads to improved outcomes in education, in health, in well-being, and overall success. A recent study done in partnership with Georgia Tech and Kennesaw State to gauge the impact that home ownership has on the lives of Habitat homeowners in Georgia found that nearly 70% of homeowners come off of public assistance once they purchase their home. 70%. Here in Georgia, 1 in 7 households spends more than half of their income on housing. Nationwide, more than 18 million people spend more than half of their income on housing, and we at Habitat say that that is unacceptable. Imagine spending more than half your income on housing. How much of your money is then left for all of the other costs that are necessary to thrive and to live in our great country? Through Habitat's Cost of Home campaign, we're engaging housing advocates, volunteers, supporters, and legislators around the country. Habitat for Humanity is grateful for the General Assembly's attention to housing affordability and for legislation providing for tax exemptions on property owned by nonprofit organizations such as ours. Thank you for your support for your attention, and we look forward to working with you to continue to make our great state even greater. Thank you, Speaker.
We are now going on to the rules calendar. We're going on to the rules calendar. Let's have some order now. Members that are in the chamber, please take your seats. Please take your seats. Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 935.
House Resolution 935 by Representative Tanner of the 9th and others, a resolution creating the Georgia Commission on Freight and Logistics. This resolution has been referred to the Committee on Transportation. That committee recommends that this resolution be adopted.
Chair recognizes the chairman of the House Transportation Committee, Chairman Tanner, to present the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As most of the members here should recall, last session we created the Freight Logistics Commission that's made up of members of this body, experts from the private sector, and members of the Senate. The members were appointed by the Speaker and the Lieutenant Governor. We met over the course of several months over the summer and fall, taking on an issue that we've recognized the amount of freight coming into this state is going to double between now and 2040. The amount of freight coming into the port at Savannah continues to increase at a very rapid rate, which is going to tax the ability for our road infrastructure to be able to keep up. So we, over the course of the meetings traveling the state, we've identified several key problems and concerns that the committee recognized. And now the next part of our work would be to identify solutions to those issues. So this resolution before you today does nothing but simply extend the Freight Logistics Commission's work for another year for the purpose of identifying solutions to the problems we've identified. The Freight and Logistics Report has been made part of our Joint Transportation Committee records and is available online for you to view. That's all this resolution does, is just extend the commission for one more year. Mr. Speaker, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
You have no questions.
Mr. Speaker, I yield the well and ask for favorable consideration for House Resolution 935.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this resolution now be adopted? All those in favor of the adoption of the resolution will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Resolution 935. The ayes are 169, the nays are 0. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Clerk will read the caption to House Resolution 326.
House Resolution 326 by Representative Houston in the 170th, Watson in the 172nd, Perkle in the 155th. Recognizing Mr. Roger C. Dill and dedicating a building in his honor. This resolution having been referred to the Committee on State Properties, that committee recommends that this resolution be adopted by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Chairman Houston to present the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Representative Clay Perkle, Representative Sam Watson, and myself, I bring you House Resolution 326. This resolution honors a man who has dedicated his life to making life better for others and also for building and construction of roads, buildings, and helping the infrastructure all over South Georgia. Roger Dill began his career in the Department of Transportation, and after that he went to work making life better, as I said before, and working on the infrastructure and the roads of all over South Georgia. He also was instrumental in building I-75. I don't know if y'all can even remember before we didn't have I-75, but Mr. Dill was there. And he is still working. Right now we're building a new patty cake house, Ruth Patty Cake House for abused women, and he is instrumental in getting that done. And he helped build the track, the Tifton Area High School stadium. It goes on and on and on, the things that Roger Dill has done for our county and for our South Georgia people. And I hope you will join me in passing this resolution naming the new Department of Transportation building after Roger Dill. Thank you, and I would appreciate your vote on this resolution. If there are no questions, I yield the well.
You have no questions.
Thank you.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this resolution now be adopted? All those in favor of the adoption of House Resolution 326 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the adoption of House Resolution 326. The ayes are 169, the nays are 0. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 663.
House Bill 663 by Representative F. Stration of the 104th, Fleming of the 121st. Be titled an act to amend Chapter 23 of Title 47, the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating the Georgia Judicial Retirement System. This bill having referred to the Committee on Retirement, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Chairman F. Stration to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I bring to you today House Bill 663. As members recall, in 2018, the Georgia General Assembly considered a constitutional amendment to create the Georgia Statewide Business Court. This was at the recommendation of the Court Reform Council, which had bipartisan participation. And in interest of keeping Georgia as the #1 state for business, this recommendation was made. And after passing with 2/3 majority in both houses, this bill was, the resolution was considered by Georgia voters, and Georgia Constitution was amended with an overwhelming turnout in support of the constitutional amendment. In 2019, we passed enabling legislation for the Georgia Statewide Business Court, and Governor Kemp has now made an appointment of a new statewide business court judge. House Bill 663 is the accompanying legislation concerning the pension retirement plan for the statewide business court. And it's very important legislation that is contemplated with the enabling bill that was passed last year, but just must be passed as a separate bill. This has been supported by the members of the Retirement Committee and is now before you today for your consideration. I would ask for your favorable support. I will mention that the statewide business court judge would receive a classification very similar to and consistent with a superior court judge, which is what we were contemplating and after, with the consistent retirement age and benefits available. All other employees would be under ERS. Mr. Speaker, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Do you yield for a question?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Lopez Romero to your left for a question.
Thank you, Representative. Abstration, do you yield?
Yes, ma'am.
I am on the Retirement Committee, and I was not in favor of this bill. Is that not true?
Yes, you were the one no on the entire committee.
And isn't it true that I was also not favorable to the business courts since we've had the bill for the amendment?
I don't know if that was the case. I do recall you speaking against the creation of a Superior Court judgeship in your own circuit. And Governor Kemp has since made an outstanding appointment of a Gwinnett County Superior Court judge.
That is a separate issue, but thank you for the reminder. I was, in fact, against the business courts. Do you refer to you?
Yes.
Isn't it true that there is no actuarial findings because there is no member yet that is part of the judge, so we do not know how much this will eventually cost us?
So this is a new position that has been created, consistent with a new appointment that's made for a new Superior Court judge, say. Because there is an existing framework in place, similar treatment is given to that new appointment. So all we are doing here is allowing for that treatment to be given to this new position, which didn't exist prior to the enabling legislation that we passed last year.
Do you further your for
Yes,
one more
ma'am.
question?
Sure.
Isn't it true that we are taking a week and a half off? There's a lot of budget cuts that are being implemented, and we should know what the cost of all the legislation that we bring forward that might have liability on the retirement side and generally may affect eventually our budget?
An actuarial review and report was made as part of this bill as required for retirement bills. It went through the 2-year process, which is required introduction last year and then consideration this year. So I'm fully confident that members of the General Assembly and the Retirement Committee have had all information necessary in order to make a vote on this matter here today. In light of that, I'd ask for your favorable consideration.
Chair recognizes Representative Rogers to your right for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This gentleman yield.
Yes, sir.
Chairman of the Administration, just out of curiosity, isn't it true that overwhelmingly the people of the state of Georgia voted for this constitutional amendment?
Overwhelmingly, Georgians supported the creation of this court. Yes, sir.
And just taking that out, this is a supposition on my part, but don't you think that the people, if they voted to fund this position, also expect this judge to have retirement benefits and have trusted us with the aspect of the committee coming together and taking care of that matter?
Well, I take the gentleman's point, maybe take it a step further. This was contemplated, discussed, and debated in the enabling legislation that this body considered last year and passed. And it would be a failure to follow through with the objective and intent of the General Assembly from the enabling legislation were we not to pass this bill. So I agree with the gentleman's question.
Okay, and as a follow-up to that, is it not true we've made tremendous strides in the judicial system during the course of the last couple of administrations, and that this is just one more piece of the puzzle that fits in?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
You do not have any further questions.
I'll yield the well and ask for your favorable consideration. Thank you.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of House Bill 663 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 663. The ayes are 164. The nays are 7. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. House will come to order. We've still got one piece of business to take care of. The clerk will read the caption to Senate Resolution 712.
Senate Resolution 712 by Senator Dugan the 30th, Miller the 49th, Kennedy the 18th, and Walker the 20th. A resolution relative to meetings and adjournments of the General Assembly and for other purposes.
The chair recognizes the majority leader of the House to explain the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Clerk, could you put the resolution up for the members? Thank you, sir. This scheduling resolution takes us a little further down the road so we can plan our work and continue our deliberative process when it comes to the budget. But first, I'd like to say thank you to Chairman Terry England and his help with negotiating this schedule, and certainly our Speaker, Speaker Ralston, his great leadership helped us to come to this scheduling agreement, and certainly Majority Leader Mike Dugan over in the Senate. As always, when we consider our scheduling resolutions in this House, first and foremost is certainly for us to be able to come here and continue our work and do our work in a manner that we're expected to do, but also the needs for our families and our work schedule back home, because we all do have another life, as we all know, and certainly we're very respectful of that, and that's the Speaker's instructions to make sure we do that, what's best for our members and for their families. But as we work this year to take care of our constitutional mandate that we must accomplish during this session, is pass that balanced budget. We have to have time for that deliberative process. We need to be prudent to allow Chairman England and the members of the committee that many of you sit on to perform that work and have the information to perform that work and consider the proposals that will impact the people of this state in the 2020 amended budget and in the 2021 big budget. So you see, and I won't read it all out to you. I think y'all can understand what we see here. That takes us out tomorrow, and then we'll be back in for day 13 on February the 18th would be day 13. And you can see it takes us up the crossover day. I'm sure you'll have some questions about next week. Next week will be budget week. The Appropriations Committee will be meeting. And on your desk, the Speaker has put out an instruction memo that explains how the week will go down as far as the Appropriations Committee being a committee meeting, but allowing each member of this body to participate in those meetings if they so choose, or to be present. So if you have any questions, after you've looked at the memo that's been on your desk, if you have questions about the schedule, I'll be glad to try to answer them for you at this time, Mr. Speaker.
You do not appear to have any questions.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, again for your leadership. Members, I hope this works for all of you. It's the best we can do to make sure we can do our work in a prudent manner. And I would ask for your approval of Senate Resolution 712, and I yield the will, Mr. Speaker.
Before we vote, Mr. Leader, I want to thank you for your hard work. Majority Leader has worked on this resolution for a couple of 3 weeks now, I guess, and you know, everybody starts speculating back in as early as October when y'all going to get out. That's the biggest question we get asked: when you getting out? Well, this year I think the biggest question is, where do we cut? We were sent here to do a job, and we're going to do it. And we're going to do it together. So, because the decisions that are made on the budget touch the lives of every Georgia citizen, man, woman, and child. And I don't believe that it behooves us as a body to come down here and speed through spending $28 billion of taxpayer money just to go home before somebody's lease runs out, or go home to run in a re-election. I was going to allow other committees to meet next week, but Chairman England tells me he's going to need all week for the Appropriations Committee, and you have all week and tomorrow. You might want to take Valentine's Day off, just saying. But this will get us through to an amended budget and get us up to crossover, and then we'll see where we go from there. So all those in favor of the adoption of Senate Resolution 712 will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members now voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the adoption of Senate Resolution 712. The ayes are 170, the nays are 1. This resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. For what purpose does Representative Scoggins rise?
Is it working now?
Trying to get your mic turned on, Representative.
I need to make a motion, sir.
State your motion.
I move that House Bill 865 be moved from the Committee on Code Revision to the Committee on Judiciary. Both chairmen do agree.
Representative Scoggins has moved that House Bill 865 be withdrawn from the Code Revision Committee and committed to the Judiciary Committee. Clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 865 by Representative Scoggins, the 14th, and others to be titled an act to amend Title 53 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to wills, trusts, and administrations of estates.
On the gentleman's motion that House Bill 865 be moved from the Code Revision Committee to the Judiciary Committee, is there objection? Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is so ordered. Clerk will read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions.
Recognizing and commending the Blessed Trinity Catholic High School Titans for winning the 2019 Class 4A GHSA State Football Championship. Recognizing and commending Coach Tim McFarland, 2019 Class 4A Coach of the Year, recognizing and commending Nicholas D. Chester Sr. on his outstanding public service, honoring the life and memory of Dr. Julius S. Scott, Jr., recognizing and commending Carl Ware, recognizing the Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys and the Georgia Association for Women Lawyers Legislative Day, Maternal Mortality in Georgia, an epidemic for black women on February 6, 2020, commending Kathleen Frances Harris for her service in the armed forces, and recognizing February 19, 2020 as Female Veterans Day at the State Capitol. Commending Benita E. Crawford for her service in the armed forces and recognizing February 19, 2020 as Female Veterans Day at the State Capitol. Commending Jorlene Lewis Early for her service in the armed forces and recognizing February 19, 2020 as Female Veterans Day at the State Capitol. Recognizing and commending the efforts and contributions to the refugee community in Georgia, honoring the life and memory of Audrey Higgins. Congratulating the Milton Creek High School cheerleading team for winning the 2019 GHSA Class 7A State Cheerleading Championship. Commending Diane M. Hanna for her service in the Armed Forces and recognizing February 19, 2020 as Female Veterans Day at the State Capitol. Recognizing and commending Pastor Cecil J. Rozier, Sr. Recognizing and congratulating Dr. Dan McAlexander upon the grand occasion of his retirement. Recognizing February 5th, 2020 as Advanced Placement Day at the State Capitol. Recognizing October 5th through 9, 2020 as Georgia Pre-K Week at the State Capitol. Commending Georgia's nationally recognized career, technical, and agriculture education program and the educators whose expertise prepares Georgia students for college and the workforce, and recognizing February 13th, 2020 as CTSO Day at the State Capitol. And for other purposes, that completes the reading of the privileged resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privilege resolutions? The chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. Okay, we got a little business to clean up here. In light of the adoption of the new adjournment resolution, the birthday list gets longer. On Sunday, February 9, it'll be the birthday of Chairman Trey Rhodes. Chairman Rhodes. On Monday, February 10, the birthday of the Transportation Chair, Chairman Tanner. And I don't know how he did this, but on Friday, February 14, Valentine's Day, Valentine's birthday, Chairman Tom McCall. I don't see her on the floor. Is Representative Beasley Teague on the floor? Well, if you see her, February the 15th is her birthday. Wish her a happy birthday. Happy birthday to Representative Sharon Beasley Teague. And on Sunday, February the 16th, wish a happy birthday to Representative Sheila Jones, Representative L. Holly, and Representative Tom Kirby. But even more special to some of us, on Friday, like in day after tomorrow, it will be the 32nd birthday of the Clerk of the House. 32 times 2 plus. Happy birthday to Clerk Bill Riley on Friday. We have some announcements. If you have signed up for an announcement, make your way to the front of the chamber. While people are doing that, Chair would like to announce and ask for your prayers for Representative Deborah Bazemore, who I understand has been hospitalized this morning. I don't have any further information, but let's please keep her in our prayers. Representative Bazemore. Chair recognizes for an announcement the Chairman of the House Appropriations Committee, Chairman England.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, everyone. We got a little business to take care of over the next several days, but I did want to make one announcement prior to talking about the appropriations hearings. The 4-H Day at the Capitol that was scheduled for tomorrow will be still here tomorrow. Most of their activities will be down at the depot. I think they will be up here for a little bit as well, but you will have constituents from all over the state here for that. I think a modified agenda for their day has been sent out to you in your emails as well, but just wanted to let you know that that's still happening. So, subcommittees. Subcommittees will be meeting. Schedules are already posted for today and tomorrow, and our plan is that by the end of today or no later than some point early in the morning, that schedules for most of next week will be posted as well, so you can plan for those to attend those meetings. Again, all of those are open and welcome for anyone and everyone to attend as far as our membership goes. The Speaker has placed on your desk a letter explaining that if you are a member of the House but are not a member of the Appropriations Committee, that arrangements for per diem has been taken care of there. Please continue to watch your inboxes for emails on schedules of meetings, and know that at some point later next week, we do intend to have subcommittee hearings to vote out those versions of the amended budget, and at some point we will also more than likely have a full committee meeting to vote on the amended budget at that point as well. So we can be ready to roll that then when we come back into session week after next. Appreciate the patience, appreciate the prayers. Many of you have come by and tapped me on the shoulder, and just want to let you know that we appreciate that, because there's certainly nothing easy in a year when we have money to make decisions of how to spread it around to help folks, but it's certainly much more difficult in a year when we're having to go in and look to make cuts. So thank you for that. And we look forward to seeing you all here today and tomorrow and next week. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Representative Carter for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On February 1st, we launched a 21-day veggie challenge, and we scheduled a challenge to encourage individuals to eat more vegetables. We're not trying to turn anyone into a vegan. In celebration of really of Heart Month, because one of the things we know in being healthy, what we eat. And on Friday is Go Red for Women. So even though you're not going to be here at the Capitol, wherever you are, we encourage you and your constituents to still wear red. So that is our day that we do advocacy to express the importance of women being checked out and understand that the heart disease is the #1 killer in women. And if you're near the Capitol, please join us at 11:30. We have an 11:45 press conference and a luncheon at 1. Again, it's Go Red for Women. I yield the will.
Chairman Sam Watson for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Rural Caucus will meet today for lunch over 201 in the Department of Ag. Veggies, yeah, we'll have lots of veggies there. And also, second announcement is Subcommittee Appropriations General Government will meet today at 3 o'clock. So look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Jackson for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Regrettably, Representative Deborah Bazemore had to cancel the police and firefighters South Fulton Day. And as the Speaker already mentioned, please keep Representative Deborah Bazemore in your prayers.
Chair recognizes Chairman Werkheiser for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you're on industry and labor, pay attention. The meeting will not have a hearing today. It's been canceled, but if you have an interest in Todd Jones' bill, please come. All the stakeholders will be there to discuss that. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Abel Mabel Thomas for an announcement.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate it. What I want to do is to tell you something that's going on tomorrow. The Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys and the Georgia Association of Women Lawyers cordially invite you to the 2020 legislative reception. And the issue they're going to be dealing with is maternal mortality and epidemic for black women. It'll be tomorrow, Thursday, February 6, 2020, Ohio River South, location 115 Martin Luther King Jr. Drive, Southwest, Suite 225A, Atlanta, Georgia 30303, straight down the street on Martin Luther King. The reception begins at 5:30 p.m. Programs begins at 6:30 p.m. Beverages and heavy hors d'oeuvres. And thank you so much for the opportunity to say that, and hope that many of you that will maybe be down here tomorrow may be able to attend the 5:30 event at Ohio River South. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Gerald Green for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The State Properties Committee will meet today at 2 p.m. in 403 of the state capitol. We have one bill, but we are hearing from Tim Ward, the Commissioner of the Georgia Department of Corrections on gangs, and I invite all of you to come if you want to, and also Marty Smith, the Executive of the State Property Commission. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Harrell for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Ways and Means Subcommittee meetings scheduled for this afternoon have all been canceled. All three subcommittees will be canceled this afternoon and rescheduled. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Andy Welch for an announcement. Chair recognizes Representative Reeves for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Reeves Committee of Judiciary Non-Civil will meet in room 132 at 1:30 today. And I also have an announcement about Research Institute Day that was scheduled to be tomorrow. There will not be any students from our research universities here tomorrow, but they are going to host a legislator and staff appreciation breakfast and have some goodies to give away around 8:30 in the morning at the South Wing, second floor. So everybody that's here tomorrow, just know that. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Gullett for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You may have noticed an invitation on your desk to come to a demonstration for the new voting machines in Capitol 230. The event is co-hosted by the Secretary of State's office and the King Center. It's open now, and they will be open until 2 p.m. I hope you stop by and check out the new ballot marking devices after adjournment, Capitol 230. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Bennett for an announcement.
Good morning again. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have two announcements. On Monday, although we're not here, February the 10th is AKA Day at the Capitol. All of our legislators are invited to lunch at 12:30 in the Sloppy Floyd. So if you're here for a meeting, we'll be here at 12:30. Also, the Legislative Black Caucus will meet today at 3 o'clock in room 605, and we'll be headed downstairs to the Blue Curtain. Join me, GLBC, right now. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Chairman Dollar for an announcement.
The House Entertainment Working Group will be meeting today at 3 o'clock up in 403. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Dewey McLean for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just want everyone to know that the Working Family Caucus lunch that will be held on Thursday will not be held, so enjoy your weekend. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The chair recognizes the Majority Leader of the House for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Tuesday, February the 18th, 2020.
The Majority Leader has moved that this House be adjourned until Tuesday, February 18 at 10 o'clock a.m. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. This House will be adjourned until Tuesday, February 18 at 10 a.m.